Hello and welcome to another Uniko video with me, Bev, the owner and designer of all things Uniko. Today is day 3 of the April 2025 release product introductions, and today I have a brand new stencil to introduce you to, and it's a new take on my innovative ink and flip stencils. If you've watched and been around Uniko for a while, you will have heard of the ink and flip stencils. I originally released the first one back in, I think it was July 2023, which was Ink and Flip Christmas Star. It was a 1-layer stencil, and then I developed the stencils into 2-layer, so you got a focal point such as a butterfly or a heart, there's a hexagon, a gem, Christmas tree, all sorts. You'll find the videos in the Uniko library here, and you got like a background section and the focal point section. Anyway, I went on to develop the stencils a little bit further. As you know, you might know I love pattern, and part of my background is surface pattern design, so I'm always looking at new ways to expand things, and I came up with this idea of creating a all over ink and flip pattern stencil. And with the recent release of Sparkle Sentiments, I think it was back in January this year, I thought it would be nice to do a diamond pattern so it can be paired with that, but also it will pair with Delightful Diamonds background builders. So this stencil, I'm going to show you how you use it. These are the couple of cards that I've shared on the blog today and across social media. This first one, it's sort of become a tradition that I do rainbow colours on every product, and so that's how this one came about. So it's fairly easy to do, and you can see here I'm just placing the stencil over the first colour. So I started off with a shade of red, orange, yellow, and I just blended the colours together. You clean your stencil and then you flip it, and it'll hide the areas that you've already inked so you can infill. And the beauty of this is that you can move it up and down and side to side to fill larger areas, which I will demonstrate how it works in a second. I've been on a bit of a kick recently looking at older techniques that I haven't used for a while, and the inlaid die cut technique is one that I haven't used for a while. So I used our large Big and Bold Happy designer die, and I just popped it up slightly on inside using the 1mm thick foam adhesive, and I added the birthday sentiment from Everyday Sentiments. So that was the first card. The second card, I wanted to show you how it does look with the Sparkle Sentiments. I've just done it in the 2 colours, so you'll see as I just line it up here. I did do it larger, and then I've trimmed it down. So you see you get the one colour, flip it, and then you get the second colour. But I will demonstrate that. And I wanted to show how the diamonds from this set, which is Delightful Diamonds, how these individual diamonds will work with the shape and fit inside and things. So there's lots of different options, and obviously you don't have to use this stencil as it is intended. There are more creative options. Obviously you've got this beautiful triangle shape that you could do some sort of lovely tribal patterns with, for example. I'm sure there are lots of things springing to mind already. So I'm just going to put a little bit of temporary adhesive on the back of my card just to hold it in place. Just checking that I am in good view on the video. So I'm just going to secure it down, and then all I'm going to do is literally place the stencil. I'm trying to centralize it as best I can, and we will get to inking it. So I've chosen a couple of colours today, again from the new Concord 9th collection. Today I'm going to use Pimento again. I love this red colour. Now I did do a little test, but I'm not sure where I put it, but I didn't feel there was a huge difference if they were next to each other, side to side. I was going to use both reds together, but really I want you to be able to see the two sides of this stencil, so hence why I'm going to try the star fruit, see how that looks with the red. So fairly simple, just apply your ink. I'm applying it quite liberally. I had a few questions. I think I was inking at a show. I was ink blending something, and someone asked me how I get such a smooth ink blended look, and I don't know if you've noticed, I sort of start on the outside of the stencil, so I'm actually inking onto the stencil rather than into the shape, and then drawing the colour in. Obviously I don't always get it perfect, but doing it this way, you're not getting like a big splat of ink in the space. And also I'm sort of building up the colour, so starting quite lightly and then adding more ink as needed to get a nice sort of smooth, even finish with the colour. So obviously I am no expert when it comes to ink blending, but this is a couple of tricks that I've learned along the way to get the results that I'm happy with. So I'm almost finished with this first side, and they are, as they say, you ink it and then you do need to clean it, but obviously I didn't put that in the title because it would be a bit of a mouthful. So I always have a cloth nearby, but what I am going to do is I am going to just lift this up for a second off my board because I want to wipe this red as well, mainly so we don't get cross contamination of the colour, and I can wipe my stencil as well. So like so, I should have brought a cloth up with me, but I didn't. Let me see if I've got one close by, just to wipe. I'm just going to dry this off. I don't want any sort of splat marks on it. So normally I have a tea towel, so as you see here, you could leave it like this, for example. you could have done it sort of in some muted tones or whatever, and then you can actually, if you wanted to finish your diamonds off, you could use, like I did on this card here where I stamped it over the top, you could line up the pattern diamonds like so and infill. So I might try a card after this, depending on sort of time wise of the video, to show you what that would look like. For example, that was an idea that I had. So all you're going to do is you're going to check. So like I have done with my layering stencils and the one that I introduced yesterday, I've put a little T at the top in one of the corners to know, okay, I'm going to start it this way. Obviously there's no rules, you could have it anyway, but you just need to make sure that you start it off, and then when you flip it, what you are doing is you're lining up the tip of this triangle, the open space, with the inked triangle tip. And once you've got it lined up, it should create this sort of lattice effect that you can see across the card, and it should look fairly even as well. So once you're happy, you literally pop your magnets, if you're using a magnetic board, to hold it in place. And I'm going to try this starfruit colour, this yellow, see how this looks with the pimento red. It's hard to tell sometimes until you've fully inked and lifted off the stencil, but we'll see how it comes out. If it doesn't work out, it's just an experiment at the end of the day, isn't it? Again, just sort of drawing the colour in, building it up. So this is the first pattern in this new style of ink and flip. I have been working behind the scenes on some others, so there's some more coming out later this year. I still enjoy the other format of the ink and flip, so if you like those ones as well, don't worry. I'm sure I will come up with some more designs shortly. But I think it's always nice to have different variations and a way of breathing new life into some other products as well. Obviously this is very geometric, and I'm sure there is some pairings with other ink and flips and other stencils, but as you'll see on the blog hop today, the brand ambassadors have paired it with lots of different things. The arts decoratives, the art deco collection products in that collection will work lovely with this. I think it was Steph that has paired it with some of the sentiments from the anniversary arts decoratives, and obviously florals look lovely with geometrics as well. But then oftentimes I'll reach for geometrics when I want to make a more of a masculine style card, so simply just using a sentiment, or even such as a simple sort of inlay or die cut technique with geometrics as well would work lovely. So I think there's lots of creative possibilities with this stencil. And also, you know, you'll get different looks depending on the way you ink it, with the colours you use. So using the rainbows I did, it created sort of a striped effect as well as the diamond pattern with the crisscross sort of lattice effect. So I think that there is lots of potential. So I will lift this up to reveal the colours. Quite striking. It's very bold, isn't it? So the next thing I wanted to show you is, obviously you've got these gaps above and below. Obviously you could trim it off, but I have designed the stencil that you can easily infill. And again, all I am doing here is I'm lining up this point with the point at the top and just trying to make sure that the lattice, the diagonal lattice, is even. Now, one thing you will want to do is have a scrap piece of paper or card, just so you cover up where you have already inked. And then you just go back in again with your colour. So I'm doing the side that I've already done the yellow with. Now the reason I'm doing these other ends after I've done both sides, it's easier to line up. If you try to do it before you've done both colours, or however you're colouring it, you might not get it quite central. I thought it was a little bit hard. It was harder, and this was the easier option. Obviously it takes a little bit longer to do, because then we'll have to clean the stencil again and then go back in with the red colour. But it's not too bad. And then this is how you can fill a larger space. And you can also do it from side to side. If you were doing it on a square piece of card, you will end up with sections down either side, and that way you just move the stencil along side to side to fill in the larger space. So it's quite an adaptable stencil, sort of similar concept to the Mod Background Builder stencils and the Bauhaus block stencil, where I've designed it that you can do it as a focal point and then move it around to fill a larger space. So I'm always trying to think of new ways. So I had it on the opposite side, so the T was here, so I'm flipping it back, and then we'll just infill with the red to complete the pattern. I'm just trying to make sure that my lattice is as even as I can visualize it, and just hold the stencil down with the magnets. Again, I'm just going to place this at the top and go in with the pimento to complete the pattern. Quite easily. Just make sure I have got the tips of them triangles. Otherwise I'll have a blunt edge. That's one side. And then I'm literally just moving the stencil upwards, lining up the points of the triangles to complete the diamond. Now, when we use this stencil in at the Uniko Spring Stamping Retreat, it was a little bit tricky for a couple of them to see where they were lining this up, and it created, where they did it slightly differently, I can't remember how they were lining it up now, but it was placed so I think they were lining it up like something similar like that. I don't know, but it created more of a sort of like shadow effect. You could probably even create a nice pattern if you did it one way with a few colours and then turned it and did it the other way. That would create another pattern. So there's lots of different options that you can experiment and play with, and that's one thing that I enjoy most about designing products, is using them how I've intended, but then also finding other creative ways to use them. So that's how the stencil looks. If you literally just ink and then flip and then move to fill a larger area, and I'll think of a way to finish this panel or to use this panel. I'm not sure what I will do yet, but I thought before I go, I just quickly show you what I mean with using the stamps alongside it to sort of finish, or what's the word, complete the sort of diamond pattern instead of using both sides of the stencil. How I envisioned a way of using it and combining the stamps with the stencil. So I've got a new piece of card here. Just placing it down with the temporary adhesive on again. And I think I'm going to go back to Lakefront because I really love that colour. It deserves some more love. I believe I used that one yesterday. Just make sure I've got this stencil flat. So I'm just going to do the one colour and the one side with this lovely Lakefront ink. And then we'll use the diamond stamps. Now, when I made the other card that I showed you at the beginning, where I'd used the stamps, you'll see here where I lined up, and I didn't get it quite central. I just used my acrylic block and did it by eye, and I didn't get it quite straight. And although I keep saying cards don't have to be perfect, it does frustrate me a little bit. But I didn't want to recreate the card again. Time is limited when it comes to creativity at the minute. We're almost at the end of the Easter holidays. There's a few more days to go, and I've loved it, and the boys are really good. They are really good at entertaining themselves, but obviously I have other duties like making sure they get fed and Oh, the amount of washing you seem to go through when they're off school as well. It's unbelievable. But as I say, the holidays are nearly coming to an end. It's always very quiet once they go back, and I always find it a little bit difficult to get used to, but I'm sure I will. Especially now that they don't need me walking them to school and stuff. They're very independent. But yeah, so I didn't want to waste my time and recreate it just for that slight off stamp on one side where I didn't quite have it aligned. So I'm trying to do this as quickly as I can without rushing it too much that it looks super messy, but then conscious of time, I should have had one sort of pre-inked as usual. But I suppose there's no harm in showing you me inking it up again. So I'm just going to ink the one side. So I think because I made a slight error before, I am going to use my stamping platform. Now it would be quite time consuming using a stamping platform to do the whole lot. So I will just do a few just to show you what my thinking was of combining the stamps with the stencils. And I also had another thought when I had designed this stencil, that I should have really created the diamond so that it was maybe slightly larger on the stencil, that these would fit inside. But I just decided to go with it because I thought if they were too big, then you wouldn't get a lot of the sort of pattern across the card. It might not have looked as effective. So I'm literally just placing the stencils, trying just to line up the corners, and I'm just sort of checking from the edges. Obviously I want them to be as centered as I can get them, but again, it might not be perfect. And I'm just going to use a black ink, and I'm just going to show a couple, and then I will finish it at a later time and show you the finished cards on my social media. And I might even save one for release day as well, as that is coming up quickly on us. And that is sort of my thinking. So you've got the diamond patterns, and you can see it sort of half coloured, and it sort of completes the diamond, and then I'll just go back in and add some of the other patterns as well. So there's this fun one here where you could line up and they fit inside, and for example these two tiny ones as well. So I think there's a lot of different sort of options and things, but I'll carry on and add a few more and rotate them round and things and create a nice pattern. Anyway, that is Ink and Flip Delightful Diamonds. I will just bring in the other samples that I shared earlier. So again, we've got this panel that I inked just now, as you can see on here, we're doing it in the rainbow colours. It's created almost a stripe as well along. The stripes are evident, but because the colours are sort of flipping, I don't think it's as prominent in my opinion. Sometimes it's one of them sort of optical illusions, isn't it, depending on how you look at it. And then we've obviously got the one using those sentiments. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this introduction and you're enjoying the release so far. Just two more products, sorry, to go. I hope you'll join me again for another video tomorrow and on Saturday. And all these products will be available on Sunday at 9 AM BST on the website, and I will also have them at the Crafterama show in Lincoln, which is on Sunday, and I'm looking forward to seeing a few of you there. Thank you again for joining me today. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and all your lovely comments. They are appreciated. See you again soon. Bye for now.